Well, now waiting for us at the England headquarters in Sortillo are Jimmy Hill and Bobby Charlton. Gentlemen, you look very comfortable there, enjoying the sun. Jimmy, what sort of World Cup are you expecting?
Well, we're hoping it's going to be an inspirational one, particularly for Great Britain, bearing in mind our recent past. That's the most important thing. But there's no doubt in my mind that the heat and the altitude are going to favour the South American teams. Not only for reasons which have already been said, but because the style and the tempo at which they play the game are suited to these conditions, and I think the Europeans are going to find it hard to cope with that. In a detailed sense, there's no doubt that the altitude enables the ball to fly faster, and we've had a game of tennis here and took some time and trouble coping with the pace. And I think goalkeepers are going to be increasingly important, and free kicks are going to play a major part in this World Cup. At the end of the day, I'm sure that skill would overcome running power and method. But with me is a man who doesn't quite go along with that point of view. The lovely thing about football, of course, is it creates arguments and different opinions, and who better to have an opinion than this man here with his immense history. Bob, why do you favour the Europeans?
Well, I think that these days the players that come across from South America and play in Italy and France and it has been in England as well, they're very familiar to our players now, and I think that the type of preparation that has been put together by all the European countries in the very precise and meticulous way that they've gone about the preparation would make them feel a little bit more confident having to play against the Latins. I think they also, are not as frightened as they used to be. I think that they see these players, they see these teams, and there's no surprises for them when they come to a major competition like this. And I think that this year will be Europe's best chance of actually turning the tables and making sure that the Europeans prove once again that they are the best.
Well, that's great news, of course, for the Great Britain teams and the European teams. But more than anything else, of course, it's not our opinions that count at the end of the day. It's the courage and skill and dedication of the players on the field that will write this particular chapter of history.
Let's move over to Saltillo and get the views now of Jimmy and Bobby.
Well, they didn't see the England team, the twist in the tail of that game. They went away very impressed with the Italians and didn't see the Bulgarian equaliser. They'll learn that later. In case you think it's all sunshine and flowers here, their training ground was swamped and they had to change their plans and go off early to the Portuguese camp for their training this afternoon. Good news also from there, it looks as if Brian Robson is certain to play, providing, that is, there are no accidents between now and when the game is in the week. Bob, that match.
Well, I thought it was a good match. I thought that the Italians actually, before the Bulgarians scored, were actually slaughtering them. You know, it was comprehensive. They limited them to absolutely no chances, really. They close marked them, they were confident, and I thought the Italians were a very, very strong outfit indeed. And I put in my little notes that it was a slaughter. And it was a slaughter, really, even though it was only 1-0. And the goal against them absolutely deflated them, because you could see after the match they were very disappointed. And if they'd have won that match, you know, qualifying for the next stage would have been easy. Now it's difficult. It might get to the stage of who scores the most goals against South Korea.
The next match against Argentina, the Italians.
That's a tough one, and if they lose that match, you know, then the pressure's really on the holders. And just for one bit of slack marking, you know, because they are a little bit, they're not as good as some of the other defenders in this World Cup, the Italians, when the ball is in the air, and the one chance that the Bulgarians got, they tucked away nicely. But they look very strong, you know. I mean, they're still very much in it. They've got some super players. The Bulgarians, I thought, played really rather negatively and a bit naively in a way. I thought that they ran a little bit too much with the ball. I thought that they cost them a few chances. I remember when Syria had that great opportunity, it was because 3 Bulgarians had actually carried the ball between them for about 40 yards. And once they'd lost possession, they couldn't get back. And Syria got a tremendous chance, you know, which the goalkeeper fortunately saved for them.
It's good to see your excitement after the first game of the World Cup, because we're all looking for it so much, and with your experience, just to see that elation shining out of your faces is a good sign for football after today.
Well, football could do with a smile on its face, and at least the World Cup's had a good start today.
Well, that's the message from us, a smile on our face after a pretty good start to the World Cup.